All right, you guys. So let's get into it. JD Vance has got a whole lot to say about Kamala Harris, and it ain't good. It's an all-out war at this point. And so even the Trump campaign is starting to wonder if they picked the right guy with JD Vance. I don't know how I feel about JD Vance yet. I understand he's got a background as far as he's a Marine, he started his own business, he came up out of poverty and all of that. And it's stuff I can respect from a American dream point of view kind of deal, but I don't know based off of some of the things that he says if he's really the guy who's going to help the Trump ticket. And I think one of the issues was they picked him when they thought Biden was going to ride it out. But now that Biden ain't riding it out, I think it's gotten a little uncomfortable for him because JD Vance just be saying stuff. I don't know about JD. I like his youthfulness though, and I do like his story. But some of the stuff he got to say is wild. And we'll get into the catch speech and the children stuff that he said later. But right now, we finna take a look at him bashing Vice President Kamala Harris at this place. I think it was in St. Cloud where he did this speech, but he went in on her. And I think he's going to keep doing it. And I've heard him go in on her several times anyway, but this dude here is like an attack dog for Trump at this point. So this is Trump's vice president pick as of now. Let's hold that note because I think he may flip this guy out of the position. But we're going to see how this goes. But let's listen in on how he talked so bad about Vice President Kamala Harris.
In fact, exactly 1 month ago, President Trump wiped the floor with Joe Biden on the debate stage, exposing a massive cover-up of that president's moral and mental incapacity.
Now, even though Joe Biden is out of the race, you see how he had to bring that up. They just always got to bring up Joe Biden. Joe Biden, Joe Biden, Joe Biden. All right, Joe Biden is out of the race. Now, his administration is still helping steer the whole situation, but they can't let that go yet because that's a win that they got under their belt.
And he saved this country from 4 more years of one of the worst presidents in American history. So let's thank President Trump for getting rid of Joe Biden once and for all.
Not Abraham Lincoln.
It tells us that Kamala Harris is Martin Luther King Jr. Can you believe it?
We definitely don't believe Kamala Harris is Martin Luther King Jr. She's a lot of things, but she damn sure ain't Martin Luther King Jr., I promise.
But we all know she's not MLK, just as Joe Biden was not Abraham Lincoln. We know that she is a card-carrying member of the San Francisco lunatic fringe. Ain't that right? And America is not going to be fooled by the media's lies anymore. Now, everybody knows that Kamala Harris owns every failure of the ultra-liberal policies of the last 4 years. As America's border czar, and she was the border czar, the media all said it, Kamala Harris is directly responsible for the worst border crisis in this nation's history. On her watch, more than 10 million illegal aliens have invaded our country, and it wasn't by accident, it was by design. Creating this flood of illegal immigration is the purpose of the ultra-liberal immigration policies. They said they were going to do it, and then they did it on Kamala Harris's first day in office. They suspended deportations. They stopped building Donald Trump's border wall. They reinstated catch and release, and they proposed amnesty for millions of illegal aliens. On the first moment, from the moment go, Kamala Harris and the Democrats sent engraved invitations to millions of illegal around the world. And now they're here because they were invited. They were invited by our own border czar. Can you believe it? Now, the chief of Border Patrol was appointed over a year ago, but border czar Kamala Harris hasn't even spoken a single word to him. This administration handed 3 million work permits to illegal immigrants, destroying American jobs and crushing American wages. And if the border czar wins, she will not only give jobs to illegal aliens, she's talking about giving them free health care, free tuition, all paid for at your expense. I agree. Worst of all, Kamala Harris would happily erode every protection we have to prevent them from voting. She wants to hand over control of our country to people who shouldn't be here in the first place, and we cannot let her. And I have a message, a very simple message to the millions of illegal aliens who are in this country and shouldn't be. If you are here, start packing your bags right now, because Donald J. Trump is coming back into office. Now, what bothers me most about Kamala Harris's liberal policies is that she pretends that they're compassionate, but they hurt the least fortunate members of the American family. It is what the Bible calls the least of these that suffer the most under Kamala Harris's policies. Now, I know this, my friends, because I myself grew up in a poor family. I was one of those kids who suffered under Democrat misrule, and I know that if we let these guys gain power, it's going to be people who grew up like I did that suffer the most. Now, a lot of you know my story. You know that things worked out for me. I was able to achieve the American dream because this is a great country that gives opportunities to people, and we got to make sure it stays that way.
That's true, though. His story is interesting. So you got to give him a little credit on that.
And I benefited, of course, from the incredible bounty of this country. I also benefited from a very tough grandmother who raised me because my own mom struggled with addiction. And I'll tell you, there are a lot of things that keep kids on the straight and narrow, but one, for me, was a grandmother who told me when she found out that I was hanging out with a local drug dealer, JD, if I ever see you with that kid again, I'm going to run him over with my car. And then she added, and nobody will ever find out about it. And I believed her. And I came from that background, my friends, and I stand before you as your next Vice President of the United States.
I don't know if that was okay to say. His grandmother said, if I ever see you hanging with that kid, I'm going to run him over with my car, and nobody will ever find out about it. I get the sentiment, but from the candidate for vice president, I don't think that's that's a story you tell at the bar, right? You know, you don't say that at a campaign speech, and that's what this guy's problem is. It's like, dude, you be saying the wrong stuff at the wrong time. I get you feel that way, but this is still a political election kind of thing. Some stuff you just can't stay on a grand stage. I get being real. I'm with it. But there's forums for that. And for something like this, those kind of things you just shouldn't say. Leave that after the thing with a select group of people, your donors or something.
United States, I love this country. But if we want to preserve that American dream for the next generation, if we want to build upon it, then we have got to win this election. We have got to bring the people's president back. That's President Donald J. Trump. And we're going to do everything we can to get him elected in November. And we're going to do it together. We're going to turn Minnesota red. We're going to turn this whole country red with President Donald J. Trump's leadership. And we're going to do it not just because we want to beat the Democrats, as fun as that will be, but because the American people depend on President Trump's leadership. And the clock is ticking, my friends. In 6 months, we are going to launch.
All right, I'm going to stop it right here. The reality is they don't like Kamala Harris. He's going to say whatever he can to make Kamala Harris look bad. Vice President Kamala Harris, you got to be ready, because this is just the beginning of the slew of attacks that this campaign is planning to send against you. Now, what you going to do about it? Because this is a test, not just for winning the presidency in the campaign, because it's not going to get any easier once she gets that big seat, if she gets there. You know, now she's got to deal with other people across the world acting like this. So if she can't handle it here in a small campaign, relatively small campaign, she's definitely not going to be able to handle it on the grand scale when we're talking about worldwide issues and dealing with our enemies and stuff like that. When you arguing with people with nuclear weapons and stuff, are you going to be able to handle it? We're going to have to see how you can run this campaign. Quite frankly, I don't think she got it in her yet. But like I said before, I'm waiting to see. Show me something. I'll give anybody a chance. But right now, I ain't feeling it. All right, we're going to stop right now because it done went longer than I wanted it to go. Leave your comments. Let's talk about it. You know, we just trying to figure this out because everybody's uncomfortable. I get it. It ain't just me. And that's why I want to point out some of these things. And we're going to get into who JD Vance is a little bit later too. All right, stay tuned. And remember, be unlikely, stay unstoppable.